Are you ready for some brutal, absolute, filthy, disgusting, gurgly death metal? I'm not talking about that today. Finally. Talking about some different style of death metal for once today. For a while there, it just seemed like that was all I was talking about on here was just a brutal death metal. Brutal, slamming death metal. And I admittedly was definitely really, really into that most recently. I got this fucking dog hair here. Okay. Anyway, I can see shit in my camera and it drives me nuts. So, but I've completely transitioned off of the brutal death metal, which that doesn't really mean anything. It's gonna come back. There's some new releases coming out in the next couple of weeks that are gonna completely change my mood for that. But lately, the last like 2 to 3 weeks, I've been listening to very suffocating, dissonant, blackened style of death metal. That just really makes you feel like you're absolutely getting crushed by a forklift. I don't even know what I was trying to say there. And I got a record in. So this was a pre-order. I got it and finally took forever to come in. Came out in April, and that is the new Heresiarch album, Edifice. I don't know. I probably said that way wrong. That's the album title, out on Iron Bonehead. So this came out in April. Finally got it in stock, and this deserved the vinyl treatment, in my opinion. I know I'm not buying records, but I made the exception for this one because of the artwork. I'll be honest with you. The music, too, but the artwork was what really I wanted for a vinyl record. I just couldn't suffice with only getting a CD for this, and we'll get to this in a minute, but let me just talk about Iron Bonehead for a minute. So a while ago, like 3 years ago, when I first started this channel, I was buying from Iron Bonehead like crazy. I was collecting every like Black Celeste release that they put out, so much stuff. And then since then, I've pretty much stopped following them. And that's just simply because my tastes in music changed quite a bit. I was more focused on death metal, and I just kind of forgot about some of the stuff that they were releasing. So that's, my bad. It seemed like, and this is just my perception, however, that's not true, so don't get upset with me. It seemed like they were just only releasing black metal that I really did not want to add into my collection, like Moonblood. I have several Moonblood tapes that were reissued a couple years ago. It's not generally my style of black metal that I listen to all the time. I really have to be in the mood for it. It's like 2 of their demos or something like that. I don't even remember which ones they are. There's so many Moonblood releases, it was hard to keep up. And same thing with Drowning the Light. I don't really listen to Drowning the Light anymore. I stopped really just giving a fuck about the music that he's putting out. It just is too much. There's just too much coming out from Drowning the Light, aside from other stuff. So it just seemed like Iron Bonehead was only releasing stuff that I just didn't really care to get into my collection. Now that I'm going back and looking, there's definitely several things that I've missed the last like 2 years that I definitely want to get. And this one came out in April. I saw the artwork and I immediately assumed it was another album because this artist is actually the same exact artist for Utter Tomb's new album that just came out on Pulverized Records. I showed this off in a collection update the other day. This is the same artist. He goes by Khaos, Diktator, and this is the artwork. So I immediately, I kind of scanned Bancamp and I saw the Heresiarch album artwork, assumed it was maybe a early release of this band or Utter Tomb. Like I just kind of scrolled past it, didn't think much of it. And then I went back up and was like, wait a minute, that artwork looks oddly familiar. And I thought maybe it was Utter Tomb, but no, it was this. So I played it. It was just one song because the album hadn't come out yet. I played it and I was like, oh my God, this is right up my alley. And I pre-ordered it, not thinking about how NWN gets Iron Bonehead stuff in stock. And I probably could have waited. And eventually I did end up ordering this for a friend of mine through NWN after I realized that it was like a birthday gift that I just had to get him because I knew he was going to absolutely love this album. So anyway, that's besides the point. But I always forget that NWN is like the U.S. distributor for Iron Bonehead. So if you ever are looking to get something from Iron Bonehead, you don't want to pay for the shipping costs, think about that first. So anyway, the artwork is what really, caught my eye and said, okay, I'm going to listen to this. So from the very first song to the very end song, this album is a perfect 10 out of 10 for me. And there's been about 3 of those albums this year that have come out already. This one which I talked about a ton in my my collection update the other day. I just am so absolutely hooked on this. And there's definitely some similarities in sound and dissonance when it comes to these bands. However, this one is definitely a much more violent sounding album. And then Slime Lord. I've just been so absolutely hooked on this album since I reviewed it from Heavy Metallurgy. And then Brodequin, which is so... And then Atrabilis, which is another... Like, those other two albums are so, like, different. And then we've got Vitriol, which I absolutely loved that record. I still listen to it a ton. I love the new Skeletal Remains. I love the new Hideous Divinity. Like, there's just been a ton of great stuff coming out this year. It's endless. But this album, I think, is going to be the underrated sleeper that maybe not a whole lot of people are going to check out. Hopefully that changes after some of you watch this video. But this definitely deserves more ears listening to it. So let's talk about it. So this is their second full-length album. Their first full-length was out on Dark Descent Records back in 2017 called Death Ordinance. Admittedly, I've never heard it. I never even knew who this band was. So I need to go back and listen to that, because if they were on Dark Descent, and they definitely fit the bill for Dark Descent 1,000%, I'm probably going to really like that album. So I need to go back and listen to it. That came out, like I said, in 2017. Since then, they've released a couple of splits and like a single, stuff like that. Not anything full. And then they got this album. So it's been quite a bit since they've released a full-length album. Admittedly, the members of the band are in other bands that I'm not too familiar with. And that's probably just because in terms of like black and death metal, it's a lot. It's a pretty saturated genre. I don't always know, but another member of Verberus, I think is how you say their name, another band that people have called out, but that's admittedly I don't know the other band connections that they have. The band is from New Zealand, which I thought was pretty cool, because how often do you say a band is from New Zealand? I honestly don't remember the last time I've said that on this channel. So pretty cool on that part. So it is blackened death metal with the bestial war metal sound infused into it. That's the best way to explain it. So at times it gets pretty dark and heavy and crushing. It's got that really doomy, heavy sound to it. And then other times it's super violent, fast, sounds like war metal. Even a tiny bit of grindcore influence in there, just a very, very tiny bit. It's just an overall dark, chaotic, crushing, violent album. And I think that that's just ultimately been what I've been in the mood for. Antichrist Siege Machine is another one that I forgot to call out. Another one. And then I go back and I pull out the Revenge albums when I start to like really get into the mood for this. So let me show you this album because it's simply phenomenal. Iron Bonehead has been doing this printed inner sheet, which or the inner sleeve, whatever, the poly sleeve. I've seen this on other people's record collection updates. I have not bought from them in a very long time, so they changed this up. I think that's really cool looking. I like it. It's just a nice little additional touch that they've done. I just got plain black. I don't know. I'm pretty sure there was a color copy of this, but this is just, I generally, when I order from Iron Bonehead, it's just plain black. The stickers are cool. I really enjoy the stickers. So there you go. That's it. And then the record, just classic black. But that alone was just a detail that I didn't know about. But this is what I'm talking about. Oh my God. Look at that centerfold spread of the gatefold spread, whatever you want to call it. That artwork is just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. This artist, man, is incredible. God, the glare is so bad. The lighting in my room is so bad. I need to get blackout curtains. I'm going to do it. I will do it. It's going to be one of the first things I buy when I'm fully employed again. And then here's the back. A really, really nice gatefold. It's only one LP, so this side is blocked off. And it does come with a printed inner sheet that has their logo, To All and None. And then on the other side, it is the lyrics and then very small liner notes right there. So over here, it says the cover artwork is Khaos, Diktator, or Stefan, I think his name says right there. Cover and inner gatefold artwork by Stefan, Khaos, Diktator design. He also, like I said, did Utter Tomb. And I think there's one other album that came out this year that he also did. That's going to actually drive me nuts. we're gonna look that up for a minute. But in general, just a phenomenal record. It's got the black flooding, if you care about that stuff. But yeah, man, look at that. Simply phenomenal. He's got Carrie in the head. Just end of times artwork here. And that's essentially what this feels like. This album feels like the world is ending. Everybody is dying and suffering, and that is essentially what this record sounds like. And it's simply phenomenal. I to the highest regard. I don't have a single criticism of it. Re-listenability is definitely there. This is going to be an album where the weather gets colder, and this is coming out. I'm listening to this. So, Forged Doctrine is the first song. Completely sucks you in right away. Manifest Odium is amazing. Second song. Noose Above the Abyss is probably one of my favorite songs on the album. That's the third one. Gloryless, Execution, and Tides of Aggression. A-side, Chef's Kiss. Song after song of aggression and a little bit of slowdown, dooming, crushing, death, doomy sounds. And then the way B is, the B-side just puts you through a journey, man, of just violence and just darkness. Absolute chaos and darkness and just, oh, it's so good. And there's a vocal variance of where it's like the chaotic war metal style of vocals and then the really deep, guttural, doomy death growls. It just goes back and forth. It's not just this super chaotic riffage war metal sound similar to like Antichrist. Like, no, there's peaks and valleys on the album. There's slowdown periods. There's the crushing atmospheric like dissonance that you kind of get, and it's just a very well-rounded album in that regard. Album length is 41 minutes long. Perfect, because this is a very exhausting album. You definitely are exhausted after you listen to it. Like it puts you through it. Puts you through the ringer on this album. I mean, look at the album artwork. How does it not? Like, this is something that would be on Game of Thrones if Game of Thrones played death metal as their soundtrack. Like, or Elden Ring. I immediately thought of Elden Ring when I saw this for some reason. I don't know why. If any of you guys played that video game, by far the darkest and hardest game I've ever played in my life. It made me so mad to stop playing it because I just was getting so pissed off. Like, it's awful. It's awful. It's an awful game in that regard, but also one of the best video games I've ever played. I got like an Elden Ring feel to this. Like, if that's literally just the tension that you feel on this album. But again, the artwork is just simply phenomenal. I love this style of art. I wish, like, look at that. My God. How could anybody pass this up? How could anybody choose to do AI art over this? That's a whole other conversation. We're not going to go there again. But just simply incredible. Incredible album. The highest of praise from me. I've been so addicted to it. This has been spinning on my platter for weeks now. It's been sitting there on a stack back there. There's one other record back there that's next to the tapes that I still haven't talked about. Another phenomenal album that came out this year. It's probably my favorite black metal release to come out this year, but I'll do a whole nother video on that some other day when I'm in the mood to talk about black metal on this channel. This album is so good. So definitely check it out. I was shocked at how much I was going to love this album. Now, if you're not into the black and death metal, the very like suffocating death metal style of music, if you like it more like chunky, girthy riffs and blast beats and just like, meat and potatoes death metal, you're definitely not going to like this. Just calling that out. I couldn't even tell you, maybe like Utter Tomb is definitely another good call out of similarities. Not as much, definitely no like war metal sound on this, but for that black and death metal style for sure. Just a phenomenal album. So definitely check it out. Let me know what you guys think. It's getting high praise from the people that have listened to it. I haven't seen enough people hyping it up as much as it definitely deserves. 1000% deserves. It's a truly obliterating album. That's just the best way to explain it. It's just primed with war metal inside it of the highest caliber, 100%. Like, it's punishing, bestial, black and death metal. And it's got pretty much just an on full assault of guitar riffs and then some slower melodic riffage and movements within it. So that variance of it makes it so good. Like, I like that there's that variance in there. It's not just this pummeling, assaulting, aggressive, violent record for 41 minutes, which, don't get me wrong, I do enjoy those records as well. Like Antichrist Siege Machine is another good example of that, but this album is not that. So definitely check it out. That's all I have today. Links will be in the description of where you can listen to. Like I said, NWN has it in stock in the US, but otherwise you can get it at Iron Bonehead's website. The shipping was like $20 to the US, so keep that in mind if you're ordering from there. I'll see you guys in the next one.